Well, surely the game of the week now, the Ospreys are top of the league, the only team with maximum points, 15. And yes, they probably played three of the weakest teams at the moment in the competition. But Leinster away is always a bit of a grudge match, dare I say. Ospreys have won 2 Celtic titles at the RDS, and Leinster will be well aware of that. Themselves picking up under Stuart Lancaster. But, I've watched 2 of the Osprey games live already this season, and I just feel they got great strength in depth, and they can win again in the RDS. There'll be the return of Dan Biggar, Alan Wynne-Jones and co, and that'll be strong enough, I think, with a great bench to just pip Leinster. 2 lowly teams this year already. The Dragons, had a chance at the end of last year. The last play they could have got over with a driving maul. Instead, Charlie Davis pulled out and Munster grabbed the win at Rodney Parade. But I watched Treviso live against the Ospreys, and they were desperate. They conceded a lot of points and looked dead and buried. Their front 5 were very heavy. So as poor as the Dragons have been, I really do fancy them to start picking up a little bit and sneak a win. And I mean that, sneak a win in Treviso. Well, this is a game Danny Wilson, the coach, is really determined to win. Yes, the Blues have started well and they've played some difficult fixtures, but the Zebre are poor and themselves, however, have picked up and were leading against Connacht last week, ironically, before a thunderstorm came up and stopped the game. But the Blues will be just too strong and have a lot of depth. They haven't won at Zebre for a couple of seasons. It's not a happy hunting ground, so they won't have it all their own way, but I fancy Danny Wilson's men to kick on. Well, again, I watched Scarlets live out in Ulster last week, and they played much, much better than they did in their 2 previous games. Connacht are in a bad place at the moment, and Scarlets coming home, I think, will record a resounding win. I'll be on the red button commentating on that one, so I'll be at 2 games this week. Again, the Scarlets and then the Ospreys on Friday night. So a Scarlets resounding win, kickstart their season. Really looking forward to being at Parc y Scarlets on Saturday night. Yeah, 2 other games, very contestable games, I feel. Glasgow, Ulster, strong teams. I think they'll be thereabouts in the playoffs. Ulster looked pretty ominous beating the Scarlets last week, but travelling to Glasgow is a different proposition. Glasgow to sneak that one for me. And as for Munster, well, they're on a bit of a roll now with another away win, having beaten the Scarlets and the Dragons on Welsh soil. They go back home and they'll have too much for Edinburgh as well. Well, thrills and spills in the Aviva Premiership last weekend. Saracens roll on. A red card for Thomas Francis, the Wales tight head prop, and Chris Ashton biting accusations in their game against Northampton. But these are the games this week in the Aviva Premiership. My old club Bristol take on the Exeter Chiefs, who had a resounding win, and after being beaten by 70 points away to Wasps, I can't see them doing it on Friday night. Gloucester had a well-earned win in their first win of the season and take on Newcastle at Kingsholm on Saturday. I fancy them to get a good win there. Quins have started quite poorly but did respond quite well at the end of last week. But Saracens are showing huge championship form, and I fancy Saracens to take them. Saints against Wasps is one of the toughest contested games this weekend. Saints losing last time out, but their home form needs to pick up, and Wasps are on fire at the moment. Wasps to take that one. And Worcester Sale, these are bottom half teams, but Worcester for at least 50 minutes took on Bath last week at the Rec and showed what they can do. I think they'll have too much for Mike Phillips' men. Come Sunday, Leicester play Bath. This would have been a top-of-the-table clash in the past, and Bath under top Blackadder have really picked up with good form. Leicester Tigers had a narrow win at Newcastle last week, but I think Bath will just have too much for them. That's my roundup for this week's Pro 12 and Aviva Premiership games. Why not check out my other blogs on health and fitness at www.seanholly.co.uk.